Before I begin this podcast, I first want to say that it's not going to be fast. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen in a snap of a finger. It won't happen in a blink of an eye, overnight, in a week or a month. This process, this will take time to master. Will take time to turn into a routine. But time isn't something that we have, of course. Time is something that we make. So instead of trying to have time for your mental health, make time for your mental health. Make time for yourself. Make time for your success, not just financial, but mental. Make time for you, because no one is more important than you. The world needs you as your best self, not your worst. Never forget that. Hey, welcome to the Smudcast. Today's topic will be about love. So specifically, I want to talk about the things we love and the things we don't love. So first, I want you to visualize or write down whichever one you prefer. I want you to list the things you love. Like, generally speaking, list the things that you love about life. It could be anything. It could be things you see, things you hear, people. It could be anything, right? Visualize or just remember that list. And now remember what things you don't love. Could be what you have experienced, what you see, it could be what you feel or what you hate feeling, things like that, what you don't like. Now I want you to, change your attention to yourself. Now ask yourself, what do you love about yourself? Could be something that you do. Could be a hobby. Could be a habit. Could be one of your routines. Now list what you don't love about yourself. That could be also a variety of things. Could also be what you do, your routines, your habits. Could be addictions, right? It could be what you don't like about. It could be about your physical appearance. Things about your body you don't like. I want you to recognize the things you love about yourself and the things you don't. Whether you believe it or not, the things we love builds a foundation for our success, but the things we don't love has the potential of being the key or the answers in our lives. And what I mean by that is not everything that we love and don't love is always right. Let me dig deep as to what that means, right? You could have been forced, manipulated, tricked into loving something. You may think it's genuine love, but in reality, it's love from trauma. The things you don't like about yourself, it could have been influenced by, society's norms. It could be influenced by, what other people say, bullying, insecurities, right? Traumas. It could be influenced by toxic or harmful ideologies that's been made as normal. Whether it's, the standard of beauty, whether it's, the false perception of what it means to be happy or what it means to be successful. It could be a variety of things, but it's really up to us to uncover, discover and recognize what serves us and what doesn't. And that includes what we love about ourselves and what we don't. You can't expect to be a motivational. You can't even expect to be a public speaker at all if you are anxious or insecure in front of other people or insecure in front of a group of people. You just can't. So that's what I mean as an example. The things you don't love about yourself could potentially be preventing you from doing things you actually want to do. And also the things that you love could also prevent you from seeing things in its truest form. Right? Not everything we believe about ourselves are always right, because in most cases, some of the things we believe were influenced by outside means, influenced by outside events. So that is something we have to recognize as, as individuals, that the way we think, the things we do could very well harm us or affect us in a negative way if we are not aware of its occurrence, if we're not aware of its effects. Because if we're not careful, we could shatter our own dreams based on the things we do on a regular basis, based on what we think, on what we say. When you love something, that's something that you love, you care deeply about. And it could be anything. It could be people, places, or things. It could be belief systems, but we have to recognize what's tricking us and what's not. And I won't go as far as saying that we have all been brainwashed, but I will definitely say that not everything we were fed from childhood to now were true to begin with. It could be the way parenting, it could be how to parent a child. It could be how to be successful, how to be rich. It could be how to be happy. It could be how to express yourself, how to keep a relationship, how to find a relationship, things like that. Or just like our perception of relationships could also be a false reality. Things like that we have to recognize, and there are things in our list that either needs to be removed out of that list or embraced. I will never say that everything we believe, what you love and don't love, are all lies. What I'm saying is that there's some that serves you, the things you love and don't love, and there's some that doesn't. There's some that create strengths and weakness. We have to recognize what we should embrace and what we should cast away. And we should also have to make sure that once we even, create this list, that we are open-minded for change, open-minded to have a different perspective. Because you can't expect to get anywhere without being open enough to actually try new things. Old tricks will not bear fruit. Old tricks are old tricks. Old tricks are worn down. You can't expect to be where you want to be practicing old concepts. Just because they're used the most does not mean you should use it. Open yourself to new things. Right? Experience new things. Add new things to your list of what you love and don't love. And this shouldn't come off as you attacking yourself. This shouldn't come off as you, hating yourself. This is the purpose of this is so you can recognize what exactly you're doing to yourself, or what exactly you're thinking to yourself. Because after all, it all starts with our heads. It all starts in our minds. But if we're not careful, it becomes a physical representation. We become a physical representation. And whether or not that representation will be good or bad is entirely up to us, and up to whether or not we are willing to take that first step into casting out or embracing what's on our list. And if you're the person who doesn't know what they love about themselves, who aren't aware, or just don't love themselves in general, then there's definitely room for growth. Then it's obvious that the way you think about yourself is playing a big role on your success, a big role on your satisfaction in life. And if that's you, the list of things you don't love about yourself definitely can be altered and embraced and turn into a strength more than a weakness. Because there are things about yourself that you do love, but you have yet to see it. We have got to see that our qualities, our characteristics can and will take us a long way. Right now, as we speak, you are probably already building a foundation without even realizing it. And of course, a foundation starts in your head before it becomes a team, before it becomes a group, or before it becomes a community or an empire. It all starts in our heads. And if we're unable to embrace our strengths as well as our weaknesses, if we're unable to embrace our strengths and accept our weaknesses, we are going to grow up and experience life with more disappointment than satisfaction. Never cast out a side of you that wants to shine. Never dim your light just because you don't feel as if you deserve it. And that'll only bring you frustration. That'll only bring you disappointment in yourself. that will only bring you unsatisfaction, that will only bring you misery, that will only bring you depression and anxiety, that will only bring you more traumas and more insecurities, that will only bring you further away from your true self. So recognize who exactly you are. Recognize your perks. Recognize your perfections and imperfections. Recognize you and acknowledge you for the way it is. You deserve to be the best you, but that's the only way for that to happen is if you acknowledge you for the way you are and embrace that you. Embrace who you are. And own up to what you do to yourself. Own up to your decisions. Own up to your mistakes. Own up to your trials and tribulations and trials and errors. Own up and take responsibility for yourself. If I had to summarize this entire podcast, it would just be to take responsibility for yourself. There's things about you that builds character. There are things about you that are charming, that are charismatic, that are attracting. And you might not even realize it. Don't lose sight of yourself, what you have. Don't lose sight of you, because at the end of the day, you are all you have. So take up for yourself and have your own back. That is literally the least you can do for yourself. Now, at least, the least you can do for yourself is that. And I know it's scary. It's scary taking up for yourself. It's scary having to speak for yourself sometimes. I know it is. It's anxiety filled. But don't let that anxiety get in the way of what you deserve. Don't be scared to love every part of you. Even if there's parts of you that may be frustrating and annoying, no one's perfect. Embrace that annoying side because that makes you different. Embrace everything about you. Acknowledge everything about you. Because all this time you've been comparing yourself, but in reality, ain't no one better than you. But that is only true once you realize that. The only way for you to find that out and discover that is if you follow through with this process. Follow through with your process. Follow through with this path you're choosing to set and take part in. Follow through and make that first step, because that first step will be the start of your process. Or those first steps will be the start of your process. Whichever the case may be, never deter from your process, because you deserve a process of abundance. And one of the biggest ways to achieve that is through loving yourself. Because you can't expect to love others or love other things when you don't even love who you are. So never deter from your process, because you deserve this process. You are this process. Never forget why you're on this process. So stay on this process and see it through. This is the Smudcast, and thank you so much for listening.